All right, guys. So apologies, we had to stop this talk a little bit. Sean had a call to answer. We got paged. So thank you, Sean. I appreciate all your feedback. Now, the second question I have for you is, so what are the different? I know you touched upon it a little bit here. The different exercises that one should be doing, and how often?
Okay. Well, I think it all depends a little bit on what your fitness goals are.
Okay.
You know, if you're one of these people that you want to do an Ironman, there's no good doing 20 minutes 3 times a week. It's not going to get you there.
Mm-hmm.
If your goal is to lose weight, then exercise will definitely help, and then you need a different sort of exercise platform.
Mm-hmm.
If you're, so you think about what it is you're trying to do.
Right.
And that takes me to a point that I think having a goal is a sort of an essential part of your exercise.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're exercising because you think it makes you fitter and you've got no particular goal and you may live longer, then it's going to be quite difficult to motivate yourself. And there's a variety of different things you could do. If you set yourself a goal, let's say you want to walk up a particular hill or mountain you've never done, or a cycle race or a triathlon, then you obviously need to target your exercise for that. As a baseline, it's often said that 30 minutes of exercise, probably 5 times a week, where you bring your heart rate to between 60 and 80% of your maximum heart rate, is considered an adequate amount of exercise to keep you well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not really against any particular yardstick. So it probably has some benefit. It will do you very little harm. In fact, won't do you any harm.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get any injuries with that sort of modest exercise.
Right.
And if your only motive for exercising is because you think it's good for you, then that's probably what you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 30 minutes a day, not every day, but at least 3 days, 3 to 5 days a week.
So at least 30 minutes, 3 days a week.
Yeah.
That's the minimum, you would say.
That's the absolute minimum.
Absolute minimum, yeah.
And you should be doing the exercise. Can be walking, it can be doing any swimming, biking, but you should push your heart rate up a little bit. If there's no increase in heart rate, or if you're only going from say 60 to 80, it's doing very, very little. So it's not strengthening your heart, it's not expanding your lungs, and it's not even stressing any of the muscle joints, So, but it's probably a kind of status quo. You're just maintaining something.
Mm-hmm.
The main health benefits of exercise come when your exercise is added to other parts of your life.
Mm-hmm.
But on that subject then of targeting, then you've got to think about what you're trying to achieve. So regular daily exercise, pushing it a bit more, is better if you're trying to lose weight, because it isn't just the moments that you're exercising that increases your metabolic rate. There's an increase in metabolic rate that carries on after the exercise.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to leave a big long gap before you exercise again, because your metabolic rate will come right back down again.
I see, I got you, yeah.
And your body tends to try and save energy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one of the reasons why people who are overweight they struggle to lose weight, because their baseline metabolic rate is low, and they've got huge reserves of energy, and the body's always trying to save that energy, and it's very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to be exercising more regularly than 3 or 4 times a week. I'd say at least every day. And you need to be stressing yourself a little bit more. You need to be pushing your heart rate up a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes in the gym you see this fat burn thing. It's very, very weak. It's a very, very weak way of losing.
You mean the fat burn mode?
The fat burn mode. Because it's at a very, very base level. It's a very low level.
Right.
And if you're not doing it a lot, you're going to be you won't be adding together your sessions enough.
Right.
And I think then also there's an age thing as well. So when you're younger, it's very much easier to do more dynamic exercises, sprinting, speed things, and strength comes naturally. As you get older, the speed gets harder, and you've got to work harder at the strength to keep at the same level. And then along with that, injuries get more common as you get older.
Right, of course,
So you have to then you have to think about your exercise in terms of preventing injury, And but keeping that balance of strength and flexibility and stamina or endurance for your heart and lungs. So you're thinking about heart and lungs, you're thinking about muscle strength, but you're thinking about joint mobility.
Right. Flexibility.
Flexibility.
Yeah.
I was taught many years ago. I used to go cross-country skiing with an old guy who was just fantastic, and he would have a day or two a week where he only did stretching exercises.
Okay.
And this is years ago, and I thought it was really weird. But he had
Back in the time.
Back in the time. But I wish I'd done that. I did too much heavy training or sports, contact sports, concentrating on muscle strength all the time and burst fitness, and that isn't really health fitness. Yeah, I think that because actually you get injuries, it doesn't necessarily help your endurance and your baseline heart rate,
Right.
and the muscles get fatigued and they don't like it. So that adaptation with age is very, very important.
Right.
Yeah.
So age plays a role, and you have to kind of, I guess, Sean mentioned, you have to adjust your goal accordingly.
Yeah.
What your plan is, and think about your the age and the injuries that if you were to lift heavy like you were in the younger times, this might not be so beneficial at the same stage or at the same level as a younger person would experience, right? Yeah.
Definitely. And if you've got no goal to press 70 kilos, there's no point in doing it. Yeah, you're just going to get injured. That's all it's going to happen. So you adjust your goals. You drop your press weight down to 50 kilos or something and do more reps, and that'll increase your overall form and strength, and add to your body shape, and without injury.
Right. Because you see people sometimes, maybe their goal is to show off. They just want to have these muscles, and just lift all these big weights and stuff. But what is the long-term effect of that? Are they looking in the long term, or are they just want to gain muscle as fast as they can, and they take all these supplements, which is a topic they're going to bring up soon. So it's you got to have really realistic goals that are good in the long term. Yeah. So this brings the question, Sean, about supplements. So a lot of my friends and my viewers, they ask me about supplements. So what do you think of supplements? What do you think of supplements? Me, myself, I admit, I take protein. I take protein powder.
Right.
That's all I do. Okay? So,
Okay.
take it from me.
Well, there's a huge array of supplements out there,
Yeah.
and there's people think of legal and illegal supplements. I'd start by saying I think illegal supplements absolutely have no place in any.
Such as?
Well, any of the steroids.
Steroids,
or
guys. Did you hear that?
amphetamines, yeah, they definitely enhance performance, but it's a short-term gain for a long-term loss.
Yeah, big time
loss, and dying as well. There's plenty of people in their 50s and 60s have major heart problems from earlier steroids.
Because what happens to the heart? Like, if long-term, chronologically,
You can damage the muscle. You can damage the valves, particularly. It's probably no coincidence that Arnold Schwarzenegger had to have valve surgery
That's right.
at a young age.
Yeah.
Because he's clearly had an early time in his life on a lot of supplements.
A lot of people look up to him.
And he just recently passed away, Maradona. His downfall was precipitated by severe coronary artery disease.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. Okay.
Which was, I don't know him personally, but it would seem he was a heavy cocaine user.
Yeah.
And that kills your coronary. You're going to die young. And so supplements that kind of keep you awake longer, stimulate you, or put on muscle mass, I would say have no place at all. More the legal supplements often are simply more concentrated versions of what you can get in food.
Right.
So you can get vitamin C in food, but you'll get more with supplements. You can get protein in food, but you can get more in supplements. And that kind of thing, I think, has more of a role.
Okay.
And because you can be a little more selective then.
The legal ones. We're talking about the legal ones.
Yeah, the legal supplements.
Pills.
And in the field of sort of elite sport, especially endurance elite sport, everybody takes extra vitamins and minerals and usually proteins as well, but all in legal formats. And I think you have to just decide what it is your body lacks and is short of, and how you replace it. I think I've in training for long distance events, I've definitely used protein after
Powder, the protein powder.
protein powder after training sessions.
Okay.
When you're looking for muscle repair, you're looking for muscle build, but it's endurance, and you want to avoid coming back in from a 4 or 5 hour session and eating a load of junk food.
Right,
And that's the natural thing to do. Whereas actually the protein supplements, it suppresses the appetite, and in that early phase it will definitely help build a bit of strength in your muscles.
Right.
But without putting on fat weight, which you don't want, especially if your goal in these things is racing.
Because it makes you a bit satiated, right?
Yeah, definitely. It can be a nice milk, powder or protein shake with some banana. You don't need to go and eat a load of chocolate cake and bad things, because you feel satiated, and then you can prepare proper food and eat properly. I think the balanced diet has to come in here with supplements. If you're eating a good balanced diet, you can eat huge amounts of food and be extremely healthy with it. You don't need to worry about putting on weight. But obviously, you don't want to be taking tons of sugar and fats that are bad fats. You need that balanced diet. So I think some of the supplements that are properly targeted for the sport you want to do. If you're just going to go out and do 30 minutes walking 5 days a week, there's no point really. I mean, so I think the fat burning or fat losing supplements are a bit gimmicky.
Yeah, that's fat burners. What do you think? Yeah, fat burners. I always doubted.
I don't support that at all. You're far better off eating less fat.
Did you guys hear that?
Far better off.
And burning, burning the extra that you have.
And that's where exercise by itself is not the solution. If your goal is losing weight, exercise by itself is going to take you a long time to get there, and probably never. You've got to. The exercise has to be in connection with a diet, with a sensible diet,
right.
And don't just keep on eating the same bad diet and take supplements to lose fat. I mean, to me, it's completely crazy. And so I've never done that, and none of my colleagues have done that. But a lot of my triathlon friends, especially when we're training long distance, would be taking protein supplements.
Okay.
And
so there's nothing. I mean, no study has shown that any detrimental effects for protein supplements as of yet, right?
No,
so it's generally safe.
The only side effect that seems fairly common is you get quite a high phosphate in those supplements, and that can cause upset with the bowels.
The kidney, liver, these things.
No. So if you're using the creatine supplements,
that's another.
which can add it can definitely add a little bit of strength and maybe increase recovery as well. Then I would suggest you do that in a pulse way. So you don't want to do it all your life. But if you've got an event coming up in 3 months, you might want to take 6 weeks or 8 weeks before the event, where you increase your protein supplement with a creatine supplement. And I've never known anyone go into renal issues with it, but certainly in those sort of doses, it's completely safe. Completely safe. And it does seem to help muscle recovery and a little bit on the strength.
Right, you're talking about creatine.
Creatine.
Because creatine, when I read about creatine, some people they recommend taking it before the exercise because it gives you the energy boost, and some people recommend it, or they say take it after the exercise.
Well, I don't think creatine is an energy booster. I think it's more repair and build.
Okay.
And I think you should take the creatine in conjunction with the protein after the exercise.
So put it in the
and
scoop.
your recovery is quicker. So if you're trying to get fit because you want to train every day, so it's sort of reasonably hard training every day, maybe only 1 day off, then your recovery to the next session is improved with protein supplements and probably enhanced a little bit with creatine supplements.
Yeah, because some protein supplements they already have creatine.
Well, some do, and that's why. That's why.
Okay.
So I always think better after the exercise.
Okay.
Yeah. No harm to liver or kidney. Stick to the dosing on the packages, and most of the packages will say you must take a break after one course.
Right.
So it's something you can do targeting a particular race. So again, you're doing an Ironman, not unreasonable to. And it's not so much for the strength, but it's for the muscle recovery between sessions.
Right.
If you go out and have a hard session and don't do anything after it, either in terms of recovery exercise or supplements, then your muscles are aching and sore for a long time afterwards. And you want to increase that recovery and build so that you can train again.
Okay. So maybe I should start doing that with my
You can do that.
doing my next sessions. You know, I used to take creatine, to be honest with you, and then I stopped it. You know, I just felt like I shouldn't be taking too many supplements. But
Well, I think
yeah,
I think,
think it should
it's
be.
not something you want to be doing all your life.
right.
I think it's a useful thing to target.
Targeted way, like
Yeah.
specific. You know, you don't have to take it every time.
Yeah.
If you maybe have a, I have a specific goal. You know, I worked hard my first session, and then I want to kind of continue on the next one, so I need time to recover.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
right.
think it'll help that.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah, excellent. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate that. So here's would be a couple of more questions actually. A couple of more quick questions. Many people have told me that they don't have time. They don't have time to exercise. Okay,
Right.
they have no time. Some of them are mothers. You know, they're saying kids and stuff. You know, driving us crazy. Studying medical school. What's your advice, Sean? They put it on the back burner. You know, forget about
Yeah.
exercise. We have other important. Exercise is basically life. You know.
Yeah, well, I think, well, first of all, it's your life, and you're
Absolutely.
the only one that is really concerned about your life. Other people might say things, but you're the one that's got to make it happen. I think, I've done incredibly busy jobs as a junior doctor and working long 72-hour shifts where you never leave the hospital.
So that's no excuse, guys.
And I promise you, we went out at least for a half-hour run every day.
Really?
Yeah, always.
What
always.
time were you able to go? Probably.
No, it would be things like, you'd wait for a time when it's not too busy, you'd get a friend to hold your pager for you and you go for a run. And then that would encourage him to go for a run someday and you would hold his pager.
Right,
But there were two of us worked together like that, and you could always go out and do something. I mean, the thing about running is it's that martini thing, isn't it? Any time, any place, anywhere.
Right.
And you can just put a pair of runners on and go. Doesn't matter what the weather is, doesn't matter whether you're in town or whatever, you can always go out for a run. You can't always swim, you can't always bicycle, but you can run.
Mm-hmm.
So I think first of all, you can always train. And then the other thing is, it should be a lifestyle.
Right.
It's got to be a lifestyle. Yeah,
Ingrained. Like it should be
Just
ingrained.
like
in it.
cleaning your teeth, having a cup of tea in the morning or
Yeah.
coffee, whatever. It's part of your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And then it isn't a chore. It isn't, and people get to know. So you don't feel embarrassed to say, "Oh, well, actually, no, I can't come just now. I'm just going out for a run." You don't just do it.
Yeah. It's a priority.
It's a priority,
Yeah, it's a priority.
and it's in your lifestyle. So, and it then becomes something that you don't even really have to worry too much about. You're going to do it, and that can be set as a regular thing,
Mm-hmm.
or you can get more complicated. I'd say all my sort of sporty friends, they all have a sort of diary, and it's a kind of cycle of things they do. And they know that on Saturday morning they'll meet so and so, go for a bike. Sunday they'll meet so and so, go for a run. Weekdays maybe because of work you're on your own.
Yeah.
But you know that at 6:15 or 6:30 you're going to get up, get the dog, go for a run, or and that's what it's going to.
This is like made in stones.
It's in stone.
Every Saturday or something, you
Yeah.
dedicate that time for that specific activity,
Yeah.
which is a priority. Yeah.
And I think there's something else. People make excuses
Mhm.
all the time.
Yeah.
And one of the ways to avoid making excuses to yourself
Mhm.
is to plan it the day before.
Okay.
So phone the friend. Say, "Oh, we're going to meet for that swim." They say, "Yeah." As soon as they've said yes, you're going to have to go because you've made a plan.
Yeah.
Get your gear ready. So if you're
The day
thinking you're
before.
going to get up and go for a bike in the morning, check you've got your shoes and your helmet and stuff, and put it by the door. Get it ready.
Planning ahead. Yeah.
Because otherwise you get up in the morning and you think, "Oh, where's my helmet? Where are my lights?" You waste 20 minutes and suddenly you've run out of time. You can't go because you burnt that bit of time that you were going to use.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And also it increases the commitment to yourself. So if your swimming trunks are out, the towels out, the goggles are out, when you see them the next morning, you just put them in your bag and you go.
Yeah.
And I think that's another part of it. Classes are very nice like that as
What's
well. Going to classes.
Oh, right.
So if it's
Zumba
very,
classes. Or
yeah,
something,
whatever
or
it is,
yoga.
Definitely, whatever it is, you've got to enjoy it. Yeah, yoga, Zumba, kickboxing.
Yeah.
Having paid some money and having a fixed time are great incentives for going out. And once you start doing that, you never stop it.
Right, right.
So the Zumba class,
You get hooked on it.
You get hooked on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And the Zumba class might say, "Oh, we're not doing this anymore." You'll go and find another one.
Right, right.
Because you can always find an excuse not to do things. So just once it's a lifestyle, you'll find the reason to always do it. And I think there's been a huge change over my life. I used to feel quite weird going out for a run. You know, I used to run at night as a school kid because I was so embarrassed if any of my friends saw me.
Oh, right. That's how it started for you.
Yeah. Well, I would usually, for a few years, I'd always win our cross country at school.
Oh, wow.
And I think the reason I won it is because I used to go out training and nobody else did.
Right, right, right.
And then people would see you and they think, well, actually, maybe it's not so stupid.
Yeah. They look at you and you look at you. You're in shape. You're happy.
Yeah.
You know.
And then as a teenager, I wasn't training because I wanted to live to be 80. I was training because I enjoyed it and I liked that feeling.
Right. That
Where your body works and you're beating other people and you know it's a good all round thing to feel okay about yourself.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
So, very important, guys, that no excuses. You know, it's easy to make an excuse, but you'll find a way. Whether it's look at your schedule and try to fit in half an hour each day at least.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's very important.
Yeah.
Sean, so the last question I have for you, I think you touched upon it a little bit, is you know, I know you were mentioning that you started early when you were, you know, as a teenager, maybe younger than a teenager. Yeah, yeah. But is there an age where you can say, that's it, I'll hang my boots and that's it, or, you know?
I think when I was at school, training was frowned upon completely. You know, training.
Okay.
I mean, we used to do sport. We'd play rugby and football and cricket, and you'd play sport, but you didn't train.
Okay.
And actually,
when you say training, you mean like
doing extra to get stronger or fitter or faster.
Okay.
That was frowned upon, and yeah, it was a big part of the film. I think Chariots of Fire. The Cambridge College, were very, very against this guy that won one of the races because he was training.
Right.
And this was completely the wrong thing to do. You just do sport naturally.
It was a no-no.
It was a no-no.
Yeah.
So, So when did we start? So you run around a lot as a kid. You don't think about it. As you're a teenager, it's cool to hang out with the girls and smoke, and then it's the beginning of a disaster. And then it's almost sort of you used to look at your pictures of your parents and things, and they start going out of shape when they're about 30 in those days because older people didn't exercise.
Right.
Nobody cycled. Nobody went out jogging, and swimming pools were certainly in the UK very rare. I mean, I was in a town that had no swimming pool.
Really?
And so we had at school, but once I left school, there's no pool.
So 30 was the age. That's it. You shelf the pool.
Yeah, and I've very much over my life, I've seen people when they get to be consultants, they put on weight because they stop exercising and they think, that's it. It's too late. Of course, it's never too late, and if it's lifestyle, it goes through your life.
Right.
And if you haven't been exercising and you want to start, then there's no bad age to start. You can start at any age.
So at any age, guys.
At any age, but you want to be thinking about, and the transformation I've seen in some people is incredible.
Right.
So we used to do this Boxing Day ride out to a friend's mother's, and there would be about 15 or so.
Boxing Day,
the day after Christmas.
Day after Christmas, yeah.
Get on our bikes because it was a group that made you go.
Right.
We'd cycle about 30 miles to this house, have some coffee and cake, come back again.
Oh, nice.
And most of us in the group we're all triathletes, and many of us had done Ironman training.
Right.
And on this particular day, a guy who'd done a lot of Ironman, he brought his brother with him.
Oh, nice.
His brother had never done an Ironman, never.
How old was this brother?
He was about 35 or so.
35.
And he was clearly overweight.
Right.
And he came with us in the group. We got about 10 miles down the road, and this guy was not going to make it at all. And my triathlete friend, who was his brother, had to stop and take him home. And the reason he was with us was because he had promised to do the Lanzarote Ironman, which was in 5 months. We all thought, no chance. And this guy cycling on, never exercised, he was overweight, he'd recently given up smoking, but he'd said, I'm going to do the Lanzarote.
He made a commitment. That's he made a commitment. That's how it starts. Yeah.
And he didn't make the ride. He had to go home. And then in 5 months he made it. He did it. And he did a decent time in Lanzarote.
Nice.
And that's just one guy I remember clearly. but the number of people who just make that transformation,
Right.
and it doesn't happen overnight, but it set yourself goals, and older people, much older people who not exercise. It's amazing what they can achieve. Yeah, there's so many, and often weight's part of it. You know, it's tough to go out jogging if you're way overweight. You get sore knees and sore hips. So you've got to sort of
Start slowly,
and what, you know, probably diet is between 60 and 70% of fitness.
Yeah.
You know,
They say something 80%.
Yeah, or
80%. Yeah, that's
75
within
one of
the
my
range.
teachers say.
Yeah.
Yeah, 75% of a healthy lifestyle is diet,
Yeah.
and,
Right.
and exercise is 25%.
Yeah.
So it's no good just, you know, ignoring those two sides of things. And I you know, often I often mention Ironman because, you know, you don't see many overweight people doing Ironman, but if you were to wind the clock back and see some of these people before they started,
Yeah.
a lot of them were out of shape badly,
Right.
and they've completely transformed themselves. And the Ironman's just a great goal, it's a great target, but it could be the Boston Marathon or but something like that to aim at. And long distance, there's recently a long distance cyclist who'd never done anything much, very out of shape, got breathless doing small things,
Right.
ends up doing these really long, cross country bike rides, and it's just that building it up and doing it
One step at a time.
one step at a time. And then inside your out of shape body that's never trained, you may find you're actually extremely good. But the goal usually is not to be extremely good, it's just to get yourself in shape.
Right.
And the feeling, I guess, the sort of underlying thing is the feeling you have as a person when you just feel in shape, your body's good, you just feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
And the opposite is, if you have a day, let's say a traveling day, where you can't exercise, you just feel bad.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
You just feel bad.
Yeah.
And
You feel grumpy, to be honest with you. Yeah.
If I'm getting a taxi to the airport and I know I'm traveling, I try to get up super early and at least do something.
Yeah.
If it's even yoga in the flat, just to do something. Your
I
body
see.
just takes time.
Because
I don't know whether I was listening to Arsene Wenger, the Arsenal manager for 25 years, one of the great football managers
Yeah.
of the generation. And he's 70 this year,
Okay.
and he exercises daily.
Okay.
And the interviewer said to him, "Well, you look in reasonable shape. You train a lot." He said, "Well, I don't train a lot, but as you get older, you train just to keep as good as you were yesterday. You're not going to be super fit, but you don't want to keep getting worse."
Right.
And that's how the goals shift. When you're young, you're trained to get better and better and better. As you get older, you're trained to keep where you are.
You lose muscle mass, you lose bone mass.
muscle mass.
Yeah. So you have to compensate for that. Yeah.
And the cardiac and lung volumes, you need to keep these things ticking over.
Right.
And probably a bit more than ticking over. You need to push it a little bit. And the benefits are evident to yourself. Days feel bad if you don't do anything. Perhaps that's a different sort of addiction, but it's probably better than cocaine.
Yeah. Well, it's the dopamine and all this.
The dopamine effect.
Yeah. Because your heart muscles, of course, as you get older, it gets weaker. By exercising, by doing cardio, by going above your your heart rate, this will hopefully recruit more pumping to your heart. It strengthens your heart, and this will, in the long term, this will benefit you. Because as we said, it's the heart disease is kind of the number one cause of death in the Western world, I think. Yeah. So as you mentioned, so. And you can start now. You don't have to wait until 10 years from now. So I don't know about you guys, but I learned a lot from Sean. Thank you very much, Sean.
It's been a pleasure.
Honestly, there's so much knowledge out there, and kind of with you providing me your experience and your feedback, I'm sure it will help my viewers, and so thanks a lot, Sean. And do you have any plans for more exercise today? I know you've done the biking this morning.
I did an hour on the bike this morning,
Yeah.
and I'll do yoga in the afternoon.
Yoga.
Yeah.
Okay. Flexibility.
Flexibility. I wish I'd started flexibility earlier, because actually lockdown's been great for yoga. It's really encouraged me to do it, and I've got better, and that's a really good thing. And we're talking about this, having goals. I
Yeah.
try to give myself something a little bit different maybe only twice a year or something.
Okay.
And actually this year has been handstands, and that
Oh,
came through the yoga.
handstands.
I was watching some yoga and they
Okay.
were doing handstands, and I used to do handstands when I was a kid, and they were making a big deal about doing handstands when you're over 60. So I thought, well, let's do this.
Okay.
So I'm into handstands.
Oh, okay.
But that won't last forever. I'll try something different again.
I need to research that. Yeah, I've seen some videos of people doing that. Yeah.
Handstands are great exercise, but it stresses you differently. So that's why it's nice to do something a bit different. So you keep a little rotation going, keep things a little bit different,
Right.
and more of one or the other, and that's good for your body too, especially your joints and muscles. And you see so many older people with real problems with their joints and
Yeah.
muscles. So hopefully not too much exercise on older people. Sport when you're young is just great.
Right.
It doesn't stop.
It's a lifelong process.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sean.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
you're very
And
welcome.
yeah. So have a good day, guys. Have a good day. Turn it on.